In your two-point perspective building design, you might want to create a peaked roof on your building, like the one that you see on screen. To do that, you'll need to be able to find the perspective center of a box, cube, or other rectangular prism-type object. And so in this video demo, I'm going to show you how to do both of those things. So typically, the peak of a roof lines up with the center of a face of a wall. Like you can see on the left here, that red line runs through the center of the wall, it splits that wall in half, and it leads up to that peak of the roof. The image on the right is what you might see if I took that same wall and turned it a bit so that we can draw it using two-point perspective. What you'll notice is that red line, which represents the center of that wall if we're looking at it face on, appears to move closer to the left side of the wall. Now, why might that be, considering what we've been studying about perspective so far? The center red line appears closer to the left edge of this wall because the rules of perspective say that as objects get farther from us in space, they appear to get smaller. And so, since that entire left side of the wall is farther from us than the right side, it appears smaller than the right side. And so, logically, that red line appears closer to the left edge of the wall. That new red line that represents the center of the object in perspective is called the perspective center. And in order to find the peak of the roof we are going to be drawing on our architectural designs, well, we need to be able to find that perspective center. We begin with the base of your building, so a cube or rectangular prism drawn in two-point perspective, and we choose which face, which wall of that object your peak is going to be above. Then, as you can see me doing here, you're going to use a straight edge to draw two straight lines connecting the opposite corners of that wall. These should form an X. The perspective center will be a straight vertical line which runs directly through the center of this X, parallel to your left and right edges. To find your roof's peak, then, you'll extend this line upward to the desired height of your roof's peak. To show the two lines which slope downward from your roof's peak, you draw one line connecting from the top of that perspective center to the top left edge of your wall, and one line connecting from the top of that perspective center to the top right edge of your wall. Once you've done all that, you've created your wall with a roof peak, so you can erase any construction lines you no longer need. This includes your X, your perspective center line, as well as that original top edge of your box. Now you can see we've created the front edges and face of your barn, house, or other building, but we're missing one thing. What might that be? We still need to add in the actual top of the building in two-point perspective. If we're looking to make all of our lines perfect, then technically we should repeat this entire process, but for the back face of the building, which we can't see, but which we can imagine. Since we've already drawn this front face and roof peak in perspective, though, I won't count you off points if you simply draw the roof's peak going back toward the vanishing point, and then estimate the back slope that you can see. But for now, I'm going to show you the accurate way of finishing off this building and roof peak. This involves me adding in the back wall of my object by drawing in imaginary converging lines which exist on the other side of the building but we wouldn't normally see. I'm doing this to create that back wall so we can add our X and perspective center. Once we've finished that back wall, we repeat the same process for the back wall that we did for the front wall. We add in our X and find our perspective center and draw our perspective center line using a vertical line that runs through the center of the X. Extend that perspective center line just like last time, except make this one pretty high, because we're going to be drawing a line that connects our front roof peak to the left vanishing point. And the point where this line crosses our rear wall's perspective center will be where our roof peak ends. You can see this illustrated with the dark red line showing the roof peak and the light blue line showing the perspective center of that back wall. Then, just like last time, you draw a line showing the roof's slope. This time I'm only drawing one instead of two because I don't actually see the one on the other side. Here I'm erasing any lines that I no longer need. Now, taking a look at this drawing, there's still one line that I should add back in. Pause for a moment and think about where that line might be drawn. The line I'm thinking of is the top left edge of the box, which I've erased in the process of making my roof peak. I should add that back in to show the corner where the peak turns into the wall. You now know the basics of creating a peaked roof using two-point perspective. Remember to demonstrate this skill at least once in your 9 two-point perspective practice sketches. And you can use it for one of your 3 advanced skills in two-point perspective that you'll be using for your final architectural design. Now, you can either practice this skill up to 3 times for your practice drawings, or you can return to Schoology to watch another video demo.